Cool. All right. Now live streaming. Let's give it a shot real quick. Awesome. We're up and running. Got it. All right. So we're about to start. All right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let people in and start sharing my screen. Awesome. Nice. Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. All right. We're getting some people trickling in. I know some people are still coming back from lunch, so we'll give people a second to come in. Our data science, our mentors, would you mind checking in with, the rest of your peers to make sure everyone's here? We'll go through a few slides here and talk about our experience overall, give some context to the parents joining in as well, give some people some time before we kick off all of our demos. I'm really excited to show off kind of like what everybody has been working on here. I've heard some rumblings and some really interesting projects that I'm excited to see them get presented today. So welcome, everyone. My name's Alex. I'm our head of product here at AI Camp, and I was part of the really collaborative effort that also involved not only your mentors, but our internal team of ex-campers, Team Tomorrow, who all put together the curriculum you guys are working on, the tools you guys used, like Camper Kudos and the feedbacks, all that. And so, I'm really excited to see the culmination of all of that. So I'm excited to see where you guys are at. Would like to do a quick vibe check here before we get started. How's everybody doing? Can I get, 1 being I'm not doing great at all today, 5 being I'm doing awesome? How are we doing? All right. We got some 5s, we got some 4s. If you're here, please turn on your video camera. It definitely helps give context to the presenters. It's super awesome when you're presenting your final project to be able to see the faces of everyone shocked. So please help us, curate that experience. So it seems like we're doing pretty good. All right, awesome. So let's keep that going. I'd love if you guys could raise your hand if you learned something new in this camp. So how many hands? We got anybody with their hand down? Didn't think so. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to ask you guys, what did you learn from 3 weeks ago to now? What has changed? Can I get a volunteer to talk about anything that they can think of that has changed from 3 weeks ago to now? Just come off mute real quick and we'll give you, would love to hear your story.
The biggest thing that I learned was definitely how you can take a data set and train a model to give you your desired output. Like, I never really thought you could just give it in our case, you give it a text, a piece of data, and then it'll spit out something for you. I never really knew how to do that or thought that was even possible, but that's something really cool that I learned.
So for the people who might be joining, might not know what a model is, what's a model?
So a model is something that you can train in order when it takes a data set, it will learn kind of the style of that data set, and then it'll give you, in our NLP model, a text generation. So it'll generate a piece of text that is in the style of the input that you give it.
Great explanation. Awesome. Thanks so much, Vamsi. Yeah, I'm super excited to see that in action. Can anyone else talk a little bit about what they learned during these 3 weeks? Technical, non-technical? What's up, Gur?
Yeah, I can go. I've learned a lot over these 3 weeks. It's been really awesome. just working with everyone. I think that was one of the biggest things as well. Not just like learning code, learning how to use my model, but it was also learning how to collaborate with my team and really get involved. And yeah, and I learned about computer vision. I learned about training models. I learned about taking everything I've learned and incorporating it into one final product with an amazing team. And it was honestly an amazing experience.
That's awesome. That blows me away. Thanks so much. I hope you guys share that similar energy. It's been awesome being a part of this because we get to hear things like that on a regular basis. Like seeing what you guys have accomplished though is what makes this experience so awesome for me. Just seeing how much you guys have grown, like these 3 weeks, you guys have gone through so much. The first week, you guys not only learned Python, but you learned how to use it to manipulate real world data, like not in a semester, in 5 days. And that was light work. Second week, you learned machine learning concepts, trained your own model on your own data. And then the third week built a full website to show it off. Like that is a lot of work. I don't know how, if you guys all realize just how much you've accomplished in 3 weeks, but hopefully this shows you guys what's possible if you make up your mind and dedicate 4 hours a day to something for even a short period of time. Can anyone, one thing we also stress here is learning on your own. I know that that's not something stressed in many other learning environments, but it's something that we think is critical because it reflects not only cutting edge research if you're trying to make new discoveries, but in the workspace, having to go figure something out that isn't on page 99. Can anyone share something that they learned themselves this week, or a problem that they were able to look up without their instructor's help?
So when I first started, coding in NLTK or NLP and things like that, I really wasn't sure how to, pre-process with the text and things like that. So after class, I would go online and watch videos on, how to tokenize text, how to remove stop words, things like that.
That's awesome. And then, did they work?
Yeah.
Great. Anyone else? Anything else you guys learned on your own?
Yeah, so something I learned on myself was like using CSS to design our website. So I didn't know how to use that. So like one thing we made in our website, like we used gradients as our backgrounds. So
Nice.
I had to learn how to do that by myself. And I went to the CodeCalc after class and tried to edit and it worked.
That's awesome. Did anyone find any like particularly great sources? Like for me, I know like towards data science, like I really love Medium articles and YouTube videos. Anyone find any sources that were particularly great?
I think MDN articles, MDN documentation for anything like CSS, JS, or HTML related is all really good.
That's awesome. I don't know if I've heard of that one. Can you share that in the chat?
Yeah, MDN is just like Mozilla stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I saw people looking at sources from Mozilla, like design resources from Figma, looking at blog posts from large companies, like this kind of stuff, and learning how to find valuable resources of people who are doing what you're working on in production. This, I think, is one of the most underrated parts of this camp, and something I wish I had learned, way earlier on. So it's awesome to hear you guys not only taking advantage and learning and applying these things on your own, but being able to communicate that. It's definitely seen some improvements on the communication side working with your team here. And I'd encourage you to continue trying to do that as we go forward. So we also talked about, data and using data to make decisions, database decision-making around life and your career. But I want to keep going here and see if anyone has a shout out for someone that like really helped you out or just deserves some recognition. We've seen a ton of use with the Camper Kudos system. For our parents who are just joining, our Camper Kudos system is our way we gamify our camp here. And it's awesome to see people shouting out people, helping them every day during camp. Does anyone have anybody they want to shout out here at the end just because they were so helpful?
Yes.
I wanna-
Yeah, who you got? George?
Both me and Drew, we both, I think we have the same person. We'd like to shout out Raj. He's been a great helper to us. He's helped us whenever we needed. He's kept at a minimalistic level. And if we needed him and we couldn't find anything on the internet, he was there. But if we could, then he hid away and let us do everything on our own. And that truly did learn so much. So thank you, Raj, and thank
We
you
get
for
a round of
everything you
applause
do.
for Raj.
Amazing
Thanks,
job.
George and Drew.
Amazing job at this.
Thank you
Raj.
guys.
Huge
I
shout out.
also want to shout out Daniel because he's really good at explaining things. He's a little bit more advanced than pretty much everybody else in our group, and he'd help us do things that we didn't know. Like, for example, we were making a Discord bot for our AI text gen, but none of us knew how to do it, not even Raj. So Daniel helped us do it.
Can we get a round of applause for Daniel? Huge shout out, Daniel. This is one of the things I think is so special about AI Camp. You guys have access to people who are a few years above and a few years below you guys in terms of experience, no matter where you are. And I think that that's something that's really special. And that's something that you guys continue to have access to within Discord. I really encourage you guys to participate in Discord. You have friends that you've made in camp, keep them accountable, tag them with ideas of the things that you guys want to build next. I really want to see like the ideas you guys have. I'm going to continue to help other people and ask questions and get help from other people within the Discord. Awesome. Any other shout outs before we keep going and get into the presentations? What's up, Robert?
Oh,
I might have cut off.
gave us because we were able to accomplish some really fantastic things, and you were able to help us actually understand what to do and gave us plenty of resources for us to do our own outside research. And so I think for the group that I'm in, that was really fitting and very helpful.
Also, I think you cut off when you said the name, but they sounded super helpful. Who are we giving applause for?
Noah.
Noah. Thanks, Noah. I appreciate all the help. I mean, I'm just so excited this brings me a lot of joy seeing that you guys have really bonded throughout this 3 weeks. So let's keep it going. I'm excited to see what you guys are working on. So to give some context to our parents who are joining, what is this project? This project is students have 3 weeks, campers have 3 weeks to come up with a problem they want to solve that they can solve with machine learning and put it into action. That involves collecting their own data set, training their own model, building a website, and more, but it's also coming up with an idea of a project that actually solves a real world problem. That's so special. And the fact that you guys have gone through that product lifecycle can give you guys superpowers. Like, raise your hand if you think the product that you built could help make people's day better or help people in any way. Yes? No? Are we helping people with our projects a little bit? Yes? Okay. Some people, but regardless, you guys understand the full product lifecycle. And I really hope to see names like your guys' names popping up in Discord, sharing the ideas you want to build next, asking some questions, and then sharing some progress on it. So with that, without further ado, let's get into our demos. Who wants to kick us off? Do we have a volunteer to start first?
We can go first.
All right. Turn it over to you guys.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, if we're all ready, I'm going to kick it off to Siddharth to start intro our project.
Yeah, so hello guys. So we're part of the AI Camp. This is our project, and we are part of the natural language processing, and we are Team Solar Systems, and we made a Marvel superhero chatbot.
All right, to start us off, our overview for our project. So we have a Marvel superhero chatbot. So we picked 4 characters. And so when you give them an input text, they'll be able to respond back to you in their own unique style and unique way of saying things. So you'll give them a chat and they'll be able to chat back to you in their own unique way.
So a little bit about our data set. So we used 4 characters from the Marvel universe, and we used a multitude of movies from that universe. So what we did is we isolated specific lines from each character and from each movie, and we put all of those movie lines from each character into an entire text, and we use that text to train the model.
The model we chose for our project was the GPT-2 model because it came out with the best results compared to other models. We also used AI text gen for the text generation because it was the simplest to use and it was pretty easy to implement it into our code.
All right, now we will show you our project, our website. So I'll turn it over to Siddharth to intro our website now.
Yeah, thank you, Amzi. So what you guys see here is the home page for our website. So the left-hand side tab has tabs to go to each hero, and you'll be able to chat with them and they'll reply with their unique personality. So at the top, you'll see 3 tabs, which will redirect you to another tab and another page. As you go through this website, you'll notice that each character has a gradient for their background that matches their personality and a universal font that matches that of Marvel. Lastly, to come back to this page, you'll simply press the logo in the upper left-hand corner. Shout out for Vamsi for designing the logo. Now I'll hand it over to Jasmine to demo the Iron Man chatbot.
So this is our Iron Man chatbot, and it was actually the first model we created. And alongside that, Iron Man actually had the most lines out of all the characters we've done. And since it was the first, it's responsible for all the parameters we used in our Spider-Man, Thor, and Groot models as well.
Now we will switch over to our Spider-Man model. Let's see what he thinks of.
So for our Spider-Man model, we used like the 3 movies that he's from and the 2 Infinity War and Endgame models. So he's designed to talk like Spider-Man, like a playful high school teenager.
As far as the Thor model goes, it was probably one of the hardest to actually implement due to the fact that we had to manually find all of his data from his movies instead of using a program like we did with all the other people. In addition to that, his tokenizer, when we actually implemented it with the website, got kind of screwed up, so we had to fix that. But now that we have it all fixed, he talks in a very like Shakespearean way due to his like age and the fact that he's like, you know, technically from outer space. But yeah. Now to turn it over to Ty, who's going to be talking about Groot.
All right, so Groot was by far our most difficult model to create. He has just a ridiculous number of lines, and it was ridiculous sifting through all of those lines. For those of you who come to our products later, I will tell you we have some special responses that you will get to find. If you find the 1 in 1,000, great job. Carson managed it on try 4, so you're going to have to beat him.
So now we'll so raise your hand and we'll pick one person to input a phrase into the.
So we'll see if you guys are the lucky one to get the 1 in 1,000 chance.
Yep. Let's see. Okay.
We get a phrase in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can put a phrase in the chat. Okay, yeah, let's try Java.
Java sucks. Okay.
Let's try Java sucks.
All right.
Oh, there you got a special one. Good.
All right, but yeah, so basically in one of the movies he says "We are Groot" once, and that's like the only time he says "We are Groot." So we have a 1 in 1,000 chance. All right, but I'm gonna hand it over to. I used to talk about our buttons over here.
So in the top right of our website, we have a button that links to the AI Camp main website. Here you can find like everything to do with AI Camp. You can register for courses. You can also go to past products for like past batches. And next to that, we have a link to our product specs page. And this is probably by far our best looking page. Here's just the name of our project and a brief description.
All right, so for creating our chatbot, we spent most of our time training them as we trained all of the models up to 200K steps. And then our second most time consuming task was cleaning all of the data, especially when it came to Thor, because we had a script that would scrape the web for the scripts and their lines. But when it came to Thor, his were formatted in a way that it was not easily automated. So we had to go and do that manually. That took us a couple of hours. And yeah, that was creating our chatbots.
So on to designing the website. So our team did this week, and we worked on both the front end and back end simultaneously. So to design the website, we mainly worked on formatting of the website and getting the chatbot to look like an actual chatbot. We also needed to link up the pages so that a click of a button could redirect you to another page. Some difficulties we had were adding the images and setting them to the correct proportions to fit the page. Now on to Carson to explain the purpose and challenges of our project.
The purpose or the reason that we created this product is very simple. We just wanted to have fun creating these unique AI products that speak like specific Marvel characters. In addition to that, you can also sort of like test your knowledge with these bots, because you ask them about specific phrases, like from their specific movies, they'll respond like in the way that they would in those unique situations. As far as the challenges faced, we've talked about it before, but we had the data preparation issues, especially with Thor, due to the fact of his formatting being sort of weird. In addition to that, initially when we created our AI text gen, when the output would be spat out by the AI, it would also include the input in that. So we had to use a function called regex to essentially exclude that. Another issue initially was the Thor tokenizer. When we implemented it into the website, for some reason, whenever the Thor tokenizer would spit out complete gibberish to the point where it looked like he was drunk, funnily enough. So we found out after a while that we mixed up his tokenizer with Iron Man's. So once we got that fixed, we got that all set. Front end design in general was difficult because a lot of us were new to HTML and CSS. So creating this super clean website in the way that we wanted took a while, especially since we were learning along the way. Back end trouble in general, Flask was a little bit difficult to learn and implement as well, in addition to getting the JavaScript to working correctly. And also, as far as the chat history goes, it's showing your past messages was something that we actually implemented like yesterday. And a huge shout out to, let's see here, a huge shout out to Mitch, Alex, Rohan, and Jackson on the AI Camp support team for helping us out with that, because there's no way we would have been able to do it in time without them, due to it just being super complex and a little bit annoying. But that's pretty much our challenges faced. Now to pass it over to Vamsy to talk about our About Us page.
All right, so we will head on to our About Us page. Here we have a cool background with color, and we just hope you like these cool animations that we have where it'll focus on your face. But yeah, these are our team members. These guys are awesome to work with. We have our descriptions here. And yeah, special shout out to Liz. She really did help us a lot, and we learned a lot from her. But yeah, we hope you like our About Us page. And now we'll head back over to our main page. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you're free to go now.
Can we get a round of applause for our solar systems team and kicking us off for our presentation with that awesome NLP project? Love the design, echoing a lot of what the people are saying in the chat. Thought it was great. Do we have any questions for the team? All right, if any questions do come up, ask them in the chat, and I'm sure the team will be happy to get to them. Awesome. Thanks again, guys. Super exciting. Let's keep it rolling. All right, Raj, I think you guys mentioned maybe your team wanted to go next.
Yeah, you guys can go next.
Awesome.
All right, I'll share my screen.
Yes, Daniel, go ahead.
And Ryland can get it started.
All right, this is our anime description generator website. The goal of this was to create a website that will generate a unique description as you input a prompt.
This product will serve as both entertainment for its user as well as inspire them to create their own storylines. We chose to make this because all our team members are interested in anime. We wanted to create an interactive product based off of that. We made our AI to solve the problem of how nowadays there's been a large influx of new anime shows being added to the market, but many of those storylines have become repetitive. We made this product to generate an anime show description from a user inputted prompt so you can easily enhance your own ideas or create new ones to overcome these problems.
The first step of the process was finding and preparing data to be used by the model. We found a data set on Kaggle, which is a website that has tons and tons of community published data. The data we chose had information on about 14,000 anime episodes, and the information it had included title, description, duration, episode, blah, 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 blah. But for our project, we only needed the descriptions. After dropping the unnecessary data and getting rid of the animes that had no entry for their descriptions, we ended up with about 8,000 usable entries. To prepare the data to be parsed by the model, we removed stop words and tokenized what remained, which means we were left with only the most important parts of the descriptions, like keywords, grammar, and meaning. After that, the data was ready to train the model.
The model that we chose was the GPT-2 model. We chose this because it was the most accessible open source text generation model. So what we did was we trained our model at 300, 3,000, and 5,000 steps respectively. But we saw that the 3,000 steps one, which took approximately 35 minutes, was the best one because when we went it up to 5,000 steps, we got pretty much the same result. But some of the problems that we faced while training our model was the fact that it took an incredibly long amount of time to train. And since multiple people would be trying to train the model at the same time on our CoCalc server, it would crash very often.
The third and last step of the process was creating the front end to present our model, aka the website we're demoing right now. Our website was built with HTML, which makes the structure and substance of the website, CSS, which makes the website look pretty and format well, and JavaScript, which has not been demonstrated yet, but is present in the carousel, in the team carousel, and the try it out page. We also use Flash, which serves the pages we built and sends data between the user on the website and our model. On to you, Daniel.
Yeah, so this is just the JavaScript part that May was talking about, where we have this carousel that's showing off all of our team members and our instructor, Raj. And George?
We'll bring that to me. So we do have a group of 6. Obviously, this is our team, amazing team. We're going to start with Daniel. So he was a front-end developer, the main front-end developer of this group. We do have Drew, who is the main back-end developer, followed by Allison, a kind of like a backup, not really backup, but a second back-end developer. We have May, who did the model training. Great props to her. Ryland, another back-end developer, as we did need quite a bit of them. And me, I was helping Daniel with the front-end development of this product. And then obviously our amazing, beloved teaching assistant, who I shout out earlier, Raj Dashi. So yeah, that's our group that designed this beautiful product.
Yeah, so there's a GitHub link at the bottom here if anyone wants to look at the source code for this. And we also have everyone's profiles linked as well. So now that we've talked about how we got here, I want to do a demo for the product. So anyone want to say like a little prompt for the anime in chat? Well, and then let's say we want to generate 2 descriptions and we can set a certain temperature. The temperature is basically how many risks the model is going to take. So the higher the temperature is, the crazier the output is going to be. I guess I'll just leave the temperature where it is now. Okay, I'll take Kilogram O's idea of just guy gets hit by truck. And sure, max temperature, why not? So when I hit generate text, it's going to send a post request to the Flask server that we've made. And the server is going to respond to that by using all these parameters, the prompts, the amount, and the temperature. And it's going to spit out 2 descriptions. This one kind of failed. It only put a dot, but it kind of looks like an anime description. You have like a bunch of names and everything. This is like Dragon Ball or something. So yeah. Any questions about our product?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, first we get a round of applause for this team. Awesome. I love all of the interactivity in the site. You know, being able to change the number of descriptions you want to generate and the temperature, the JavaScript in your guys's profiles. I think that's awesome. Do we have any questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat right now. But seriously, awesome presentation. Some of the generation you guys have shown in the chat in Discord has been awesome. I think it's some of the best generation we've got. You know, I think here it's hit or miss every time we do outputs on a live demo, especially with tough prompts. But like overall, like I'm super excited to see this all come together. I've been watching this for a minute. Cool. All right. Who do we have up next? Can we get a volunteer to go up next?
We'll go.
Okay.
All right, Gerb.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So we are gonna kick it off with Sashim.
Okay. So we came up with this project idea after reflecting on the recent crime that has been going on in the US and worldwide. We created a product that analyzes pictures for dangers and threats such as knives, guns, and other weapons in public areas. Our original goal was to use CCTV footage to sense weapons with the ability to detect if a person was holding the weapon or not. Ultimately, with the 3 weeks that we had to create this model, we were a little limited on what we could do. The final product is capable of detecting 6 individually different classes from whatever image the user may have inputted. And recognition of the 6 classes can be a little spotty. For the most part, our accuracy is satisfactory and we do produce positive results.
With the first iteration of training the model, we started with a data set of 940 images with a total of 7 classes: holstered and unholstered handguns, explosives, knife in and out of hand, and then rifle off and on person. We then augmented the data set with the flip, blur, and brightness filters and ran the data set through the model. There were some problems with this iteration, however, such as knives were constantly being detected as guns due to uneven sorting between the testing, validation, and training sets, and other inaccuracies. So in the second iteration, we added an additional 168 images to the data set in order for the classes to be better represented in the data set, and then we readjusted the bounding boxes of the images. However, it was still having an issue differentiating between knives and rifles due to all 200 knife images only being the validation and testing sets and not the training set. So in the fourth iteration, we kept the same images. However, we combined the knife in and out of hand classes into the knife class. And then we redistributed the knife images between the sets in order for the model to be able to train for knife, as well as added a noise augmentation to the dataset as a whole. With these changes, there was a huge improvement in the results of the model. However, there was still a lack of null images within the dataset. So in the fifth iteration, we added an additional 210 images for a total of 1,318 images, including more knives and null images, overall showing a huge improvement in every aspect, however, not without its flaws. During the 6th iteration, the latest one in our website, we added 100 images for each class in order to improve the accuracy of the model. And this one showed the best results out of the 6.
Yeah, so now I'm going to demo our project. So if you come to our website and we'll choose a file, let's start with a handgun, for example. So the model automatically detects that this is a handgun. And a big part of this that we wanted to do was we wanted it to detect whether the gun was a threat or whether it wasn't a threat. So we have 2 different classes for handguns and for rifles, whether they are on a person or holstered, or like the person is like using them and they're like unholstered. So you can see this right here. If we put an image of a holstered handgun, it detects it with 72% confidence that it's not a threat. For example, our knife class, it detects a knife, 67% confidence, which is awesome. And right here, you can see another example. It detects that the rifle is on a person and that person might be a threat. And then, for example, in this image, it detects a bunch of rifles and it notices that they are not on a person and therefore likely not a threat. Also, just to show it off, if you have just a random image of people, it won't find anything. Yeah, and now I will hand it over to Asang, who will be talking about the flaws.
Yep, so as previously seen, our model is able to predict images in a very accurate fashion. However, as expected with the model only trained for 3 weeks, there are obviously some misidentifications and misidentifications and stuff. So for example, in this image, our handguns are not identified, and this is due to a large skew in our data set, as unholstered handguns were severely underrepresented in our 1,000 so images. In the second image, this shows it sums up our model pretty perfectly, as rifles off person were overrepresented in our data set, and that's why I was able to detect a little small ones off to the side. However, the big rifle in the middle on the person was a class that was severely underrepresented in our data set, and therefore the model was not accurate in its prediction. Again, this displays a underrepresentation of rifles of our class rifles on person in our data set. And then finally, one of our largest issues in our data set was the lack of representations in knives. And so you can see it identifies the banana as the knives. And these problems could have been fixed by making the data set a little bit more balanced and of course having a bit more time to train them on. So I will now pass it over to Diego to talk about our front end and our website.
All right. So the front end of our website, which interacts with our model, was created with a Bootstrap template we got from startbootstrap.com. We then edited the template to meet our specifications and overall modifications that we needed to make. We had a number of various problems with the CSS. It seemed that every time we constructed or fixed something, another element broke. So we had our minds boggled and overloaded with the amount of debugging the simple process of editing this template, and we were getting pretty strained. However, after about a day of debugging and correcting other inconsistencies, we were finally ready to implement our model into our website. We started this off by beginning to learn about how to use Flask, a Python framework that allows Python elements to interface with the website's front end. This was also another growing pain for us in the aspect that having Flask interact with our front end took even more debugging. But eventually, we managed to finally have our front end and our model connect. now we just had to do like a bunch of refinement. So we discovered that there were still underlying issues with our CSS, such as our part of the website that showcases photos and descriptions of the team. They were constantly breaking, and one notable issue was that like our photos have these rounded edges, but well, yeah, it was intended to give it a more elegant look, but we found that whenever we apply this to the CSS, it applied to every photo. So it kind of messed around with the look. So that was just one among a bunch of others. However, we did in time correct these errors, and we were finally ready to send our products off.
Okay, so our product reflects the short 3 weeks we had, but our team had bigger plans than just detecting things in images. As stated in the beginning of our presentation, we were planning to use CCTV footage. Our original idea expanded to what could be a full-blown product. It was to detect whether a situation was hostile or not using live footage and audio detection. It was also supposed to be able to tell the difference between a person threatening others with a knife and someone cutting up some steak. We even had an idea where it'd send out alerts, whether that be to everyone in the area, the owner, or police. Of course, there's always things that can go wrong. There were chances of the perpetrator being alerted as well, misidentifications, which would lead to falsely calling the authorities, and weapons of cops being identified as threats. In conclusion, there were a lot of things we got done in 3 weeks. However, to create the product we envisioned, you'd need AI, true artificial intelligence that can understand what we do about a situation. And maybe we can achieve that. It just takes people like us putting our minds together like we did here in AI Camp 2022.
Yeah,
And
that was our
we're ending on that note. That was amazing. Like, can we get a round of applause?
This wouldn't have been possible without our amazing mentor, Mr. Riley.
Oh yeah, Mr. Riley.
Huge shout out to Nathan. Huge shout out to all of you guys. I mean, seriously, this presentation was great. I love the focus on solving a real problem and working towards that, right? Like, this is the MVP. This is the minimum viable product of, hey, we have something that works. We know we can, just like you're saying, maybe get more data. We can definitely fine tune it. Maybe we have to like rethink how we're going to implement it. But that's, the step-by-step process of product development. And it's awesome to see you guys get into this already. Great job, guys. Awesome. Cool. All right. So that was our Midnight Sirens. I think next we got Stereo K-Men. Awesome.
Okay, so our product name is Humble, and basically what our product does is it takes dead and alive celebrities like Shakespeare and Gordon Ramsay, and basically they insult you as if they would in real life. The team, the founder is me, June, and apparently I need to be humbled. The founder, most important role, I came up with the idea, it's like, it is mostly done by me. Jason, he helped a lot, actually. None of this would have been possible without him. He was a great mentor, and he did a lot to help us out. The model page was created by Mihir and Sahasra, and both basically, they kind of like swapped out between front end and back end, and just really did well with the model page. Search engine, Kennedy, Jack. Kennedy mostly worked back end on that, and Jack, she did mostly front end, but like she also did a little bit of back end as well. The team page, there wasn't a lot of back end involved, so Devin, he really pulled in and he did a really good job by himself, but he only did the front end on that since there wasn't much back end involved.
Okay, so the linkage we used for our website was CSS, HTML, Python, and JavaScript. When we were generating our models, and with AI, we used mainly Python because, seeing as we were starting in the first week, that's all we learned so far in the camp. And stuff we used to with Python was web scrapers, models, etc., etc. CSS, HTML, and JavaScript were all used for the front end of our website to define it, to make it look pretty, and to make it more addicting for the viewers or the people who are using it. The linkages, this is how we use the languages, were with buttons, fonts, pictures, forms, style sheets, etc.
Okay, so for our data set, we collected most of our data using Kaggle, but for the Nicki Minaj and Shakespeare data, we couldn't really find it in Kaggle, so we Googled a lot of the data. And to do that, we scraped data from various websites. But some of the problems we faced was when we tried to scrape the Gordon Ramsay's site. When we tried to open the web page, all the HTML elements didn't completely load, making it almost impossible to use the elements. Additionally, when trying to scrape off a website for the Nicki Minaj model, the HTML layout was confusing to scrape. And when we figured it out, we realized that there isn't enough data to feed the model, so the AI wouldn't be completely accurate. So we had to add another website to scrape. And the data includes insults from Gordon Ramsay, Trump, Nicki Minaj, and Shakespeare.
So we use GPT-2, an unsupervised deep learning language model created for predicting the next word in a sentence. Although there are multiple different sizes of the model, including GPT Neo models, we found that 124 million worked just fine for the amount of data that we had. Then we used AI text gen to train our model. Each celebrity used a range of about 3,000 to 5,000 epochs, and our training times were generally around 18 minutes and 30 seconds, with the exception of Trump, which took 36 minutes due to the large amount of data.
The libraries we use for our AI model was AI text gen, PyTorch, Beautiful Soup, because we use it for web scraping, NLTK for tokenizing, and regular expression for our data cleaning. And when we were making our website, we used HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Flash. We used Bootstrap, CSS, and JavaScript for our website, and we used W3 Schools to make the slideshow for our team page.
Okay, so this is our website, Maker.
All right, yeah, so this is our website. When we first started this, we were looking at a lot of Bootstrap templates. And as we were going along, we actually found that navigating the template was getting confusing. It was hard to kind of understand what things were doing. And as we looked through the style sheet, it had 12,000 lines of CSS styling. So around the beginning, when we started, we realized it would be a lot easier to start from scratch. So what we did is we actually made this website by ourselves completely without a template. So this is our models page. We ended up going with a much simpler UI than we had originally decided, but I think it came out really nice. So Gordon Ramsay is our steak, the orange, Donald Trump, the theater masks, Shakespeare, the nails, Nicki Minaj. And we actually have a randomize button too. So if you type something in there, it'll randomize. And June is right now just giving some examples. Obviously with, we didn't train it on like thousands of data sets. So it's not totally accurate, but I think it came out really well for the limited amount of time that we had.
Okay.
Okay, so me and my teammate Kennedy designed the search bar, which basically you put a word in and it searches throughout all of the data we got for the insults that have those. And it can be random, like insults that just have that word. So June, do you mind typing in the word? Okay, so if the website can't find anything at the moment, it will come out with this saying, I couldn't find what you were looking for, douchebag. And then if it could find some of the stuff you were looking for, it will spit it out at you randomly. Sometimes it doesn't work as well as we would like, but yeah.
Okay.
And then we have the And then we have the history page, which will list all of the generated results that you had in a session. One is your oldest insult, and then the latest one will be, I guess, 2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay, so I will introduce the team. None of us actually used our actual pictures because apparently none of us are photogenic. I'll start off with myself. This is my old Discord profile, and it's basically just Doraemon if he was hot. So for my description, I said tired help. Usually I fix that with a cup of coffee, and this is a link to my op.gg for League of Legends. This is Devin's current profile picture on Discord, and he asked, where am I? I can't help you there. Sahasra, she says, I just want to be 5 again so I can sleep and play and eat and sleep. I don't think that's exclusive to being 5 years old, but you know, nice picture of an elephant. Jack, a ghost could be breakdancing right next to you and you would have no idea that it was happening. Help. Thank you for that idea. I will move on. Now this picture is Zhao, if he was cat. I like this because it's height accurate. Kennedy actually does have an online business. Basically, she sells jewelry online. This is her webpage. I'll link it in the chat below, like in the Zoom later, if you're interested. I personally really like her products. They look really nice from what I've seen. And she also has an Etsy page, which I will also link later. Mahir, he's an owl, and apparently he really loves Java. This is his GitHub if you're interested. And this is Shiba Inu with a flower on top. And Jason, he's a serious gamer. Okay. And that's it.
So can we get a round of applause for our team giving us a pretty humorous presentation? Appreciate the change of pace. Love it. All right, we're gonna keep it going just because I know one of our Pink Panthers members has to leave in about 10 minutes. So I'll turn it over to the Pink Panthers team to kick off their demo. That was an awesome demo though. I don't want to, brush over that too quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gonzalo's gonna screen share and then Dale's gonna start off our presentation.
Oh, are we starting off the beginning?
Yep.
Or the team? Gotcha.
That's fine.
So we're the Pink Panthers, and my name is Gonzalo. I am a student at ATEC, and I took care of the game part of the project. I did it in Unity, and I used C# to code most of the game mechanics, except for the hand tracking, of course, which we use Python. And outside of the camp, I like to play and make video games. I actually have like my games that I made here.
Okay, so next is me, Vincent. I'm a junior at this point, going into senior year. I helped a lot with the back end, and then I also did a bit with the front end, make this website. We made it from a template, so it wasn't that bad, but I helped with that. And outside of this camp, I like playing video games. I like coding. I like listening to music. Right now, I'm just like binging shows. That's what I'm doing right now. But I also occasionally play the drums.
Hello, so my name's Dale. I'm heading to college pretty soon over at Columbus State. I help with training the model, web development, and debugging here and there. Outside the camp, I enjoy doing creative activities and pouring my heart and soul into projects.
Hi, I'm Alan, and I'm the project manager, and I'm a rising senior at Stevenson High School in Chicago. And I worked on organizing the group as a whole and making sure that, things are done on time and everything. And I also helped with the data collection process, which was just us taking a bunch of pictures. And outside of this camp, I really enjoy like making and listening to music. Also, I really enjoyed the outdoors, and I do a lot of sports.
Hello, my name is Noah. I was a rising senior at Lebanon Trail High School, and I mostly focused on supporting my teammates throughout this project. And in my free time, I enjoy playing instruments and sports such as swimming and soccer, etc.
Okay, before we move on from our team, let's not forget about our amazing mentor, Fasanga. Huge shout out to him because like he helped us a bunch with like our website backend. Like even though he wasn't feeling well in the past couple of days, he still managed to pull through and helped us incorporate our webcam into Flask and everything, which is amazing.
And yeah, shout out to our instructor, Prasanga. We forgot to shout him out earlier in this meeting, but yeah, he's currently getting his PhD at LSU, which is really, really cool. And yeah, I also really like him really much because he does a lot of music as well. So shout out to him.
All right, so let's get started. So over the past 3 weeks, we took on the challenge of developing our own custom AI product as a team with the help of our instructor. So during that time, we came together to present various ideas and we selected one that we all liked. Then we worked together to collect and label data, prepare the model for training, and we made evaluations to improve our model and topped it all off with a beautiful website. So for our project, we used computer vision to play games using our hands. So we used an object detection model called YOLO, which stands for You Only Look Once. And it uses deep learning and neural networks to process and recognize things in images. So we use that object detection from our model to recognize the hand gestures we'll be using to control our game called Need a Hand. Now we're still doing a bit of troubleshooting on the connection between the webcam that sees the gesture controls and the game itself, but we've all dedicated a lot of time and effort to reach where we are now.
And these are the hand gestures that the AI can detect, which are just like pointing left, right, up, doing a fist, and doing kind of like a stop sign with your hand. And just to test it, I'm gonna use 2 different examples here. What? Is the website down? Error project is not running.
Uh-oh.
Live
the
demos.
Cococ server stopped. Okay, my bad.
Every
Okay, I
time.
just started back. Okay.
It's all right. You know, I'm surprised this is the first time this has happened. Live demos, 10 out of 10 times aren't going to work exactly how you're planning. But excited to see this come together.
So far, the UI looks awesome, though.
Thank you.
Maybe we can switch over to local instead.
That might not be the best idea for now, but I started the server up. So it should be running if you refresh.
There we go. Okay, so you can see here, I'm just gonna choose like this picture. And you can see how it detects a stop hand and with 0.98% confidence. And then you can then you can choose, for example, another one, and you're gonna use this one. It's basically gonna do the same thing, and this time it detects a right pointing hand with 97% confidence.
So yeah, our motivation behind this project is that we just, because we're in the computer vision group, so we want to do something with like hand gestures tracking. And we figured that, you know, it would be good for us. And since it was pretty challenging, and meaning that we would learn a lot of stuff along the way, and we would also have a lot of fun with this. We like upon like deciding to do this, we always knew that it's not gonna be easy, especially with only 3 weeks to work with this game. But I think in the end we were able to like do most of the portion. Yeah, and our like literally like our main motivation is that our passion in game development, and plus like, you know, this AI, we just thought about it would be really cool to combine AI with game development. And so so we could use our, like using our webcam to track our gestures to control a game.
So this game is a single player game, and the main point of this game is to defeat all those red enemies by shooting and gets to the touch point at the end. We also have 5 different movements for player to control, which are moving right, left, jump, stop, and attack. For gestures, we use machine learning model to recognize 5 different gestures, which will serve as an input to the game. And our main program, YOLO V5, is the model that we use to recognize the gesture and we connect it to the output of YOLO V5 to the input of game, which will serve as a controller of the game.
Okay. I guess I can continue with the process. Here.
Oh wait, I forgot the process. Sorry.
Yeah. But okay, since Dale already like talked about how it works and everything, how YOLO is incorporated in our project, we can skip over that and go to data collection and pre-processing. So in data collection, we use 3 different sources of like collecting our data. We use web scraping, which was like getting images off of Google with like some code. And then we use public databases for a bit of our images and webcam footage for the majority of our images. We used a website called RoboFlow to like collect all our data, sort and organize all of it. And we augmented all our data like a bunch with grayscaling, hue, saturation, etc., which like made our model more robust and have more variability, which then gave us better accuracy and results. And then on to training and evaluating our model. We used for our model, for training it, we used CodeCalc servers. And because of this, since the like GPU, virtual GPUs and stuff are not that great, we had to use the second smallest version of YOLO, which is like YOLO V5S. And this like came with better FPS for like the webcam footage, but it also lacked in accuracy a bit. It wasn't that different from like the larger models, but it was just a bit more inaccurate. And this is the heat map for like the final testing session with the small model, which is, you could see, is pretty good. Like it's all above 90, 80, 70s. But like there was another heat map for our large model, but it kind of got lost in collab. So we don't really have that, but I can personally say it was like 2 of them were 100 and then the rest were 90s. So it's pretty accurate. And on to our product, which is basically this website, the game itself and everything. We used a Bootstrap template, which you can see here, but and we incorporated our model by allowing users to upload images of certain hand gestures, and the model would identify what gesture it was. And we also made a game, which will be the end demo, basically, because we weren't too sure if CodeCalc could use like a webcam in Flask. So we decided just to set it up locally. And that's going to be the last thing we do. But for roadblocks, we had like a bunch of roadblocks throughout this entire thing. We can go down to the roadblocks tab. Okay.
In the interest of time, do you mind if I hop you guys over to the gameplay? We're seeing a lot of
sure.
People want to see the demo. People want to see the gameplay in the chat.
Oh, I need to set up the thing again. That's fine. If you can let me screen share. I have to turn off my camera for this part, but this should be it, right? You guys see the...
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to wait for the server to start up. Okay, Just give it a second. Okay. So you can see my webcam thing in the bottom, right? So the only issue with this game is you kind of have to like click onto the game if you have like, okay. So you can see the bottom, stop, left, attack. It's like super hard. So I don't even know if I can complete a level with this, but I could try my best. I have never got past this part, I'll be honest. But like,
awesome.
okay, but there's enemies later on if you can get to it. It's like one of those super difficult games, but yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Can we get a round of applause for this team? I mean, I don't think I've seen an AI camp project like this before. You know, integrating Unity is awesome. It's something we've always talked about because with Unity ML agents where you can train using Python to have your own, you know, NPCs, like this is awesome. Love what you guys have done here. You know, huge props. We're more than halfway through all the presentations. I'd love to see, do we have any comments from any parents watching? Any, you know, votes of confidence and any words of inspiration or any reactions to what you're saying? You guys expecting this? Anyone have any comments? Otherwise, maybe from some data science interns, if not from the parents. All right, we can keep going. I'd love to get some comments. All right. Maybe think of some. We can come back to it. Stereo invaders, you guys are up next. Oh yeah, we got a comment. What's up, Mike?
I was like, I'm blowing away. Like, this is crazy. Like, to be able to play this, you know, using like your hand, this is crazy. I've seen thousands of, okay, I'm exaggerating. I haven't seen thousands of projects, but you know, this is crazy. Yeah. Like, I don't know how else I can express my surprise. Can we give these guys one more round of applause? This is just crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's keep it rolling. Stereo invaders, you guys are up next.
All right, Drew, you want to go?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay, good. Hello, we are the Stereo Invaders. We have made Lyrical, a lyric generating AI. The purpose of Lyrical is to help artists create lyrics and see how AI can understand the emotions involved in songwriting. We hope to open up possibilities for AI in creative fields to allow new and experienced artists alike create song lyrics.
So for our data, it was a bit of a struggle at the beginning because every data set we would look at, it either have lyrics, and we were gonna base Lyrical on different emotions. So it would either have the emotion and no lyrics or the lyrics and no emotion. But eventually we stumbled upon this one from GitHub, which had the emotions of tenderness, sadness, and tension, as well as the lyrics. So we ended up using that as our first one just to like see if we could do it. And we were able to train our models like really quickly. So then we had this idea from the beginning to just take a data set that has emotions and use the Genius API to get the lyrics for each of the songs. So then that's what we ended up doing. And we used the Muse data set from Kaggle and the Genius API to get more emotions like euphoric and cheerful.
So basically the Muse dataset had the list of emotions, like with each song. And so what we did was we took that dataset from a CSV file, converted it into pandas in Python, and then found the emotion we wanted, and then plugged the artist and the track title into the lineage, into the Genius API. And then once we got that lyric data, then we plugged that into this function that basically just cleaned the data so that the AI wouldn't get confused. And then we put all of those lyrics for whatever emotion it was into a TXT file that then the model could read and then be trained on. And then we put all of this into one function so that any of our team members could just access it and just type in whatever emotion they wanted, and it would spit out a TXT file, and then we could train a model using that.
So for the model, we used a GPT Neo model, and we programmed this model to generate song lyrics based on the title and the emotion that the user gives. The model also features an adjustable temperature, which allows the user to dictate how like tame or random they want the output to be. And the model runs off a library of songs taken from Genius using their API.
So in terms of training, we used the CoCalc and the Google Colab server simultaneously, so we could train two models at once, so we could double our production speed. We trained it through AI text gen, and we only used about 125 million parameters.
So we had a few obstacles when we were creating the project. One of them, as Jay mentioned, was the data collection. It was really only the one data set that we could find that had both emotions and lyrics together. But huge shout out to Jay and Sam for making that API scrapper. And then another big problem was website design. None of us had done website design before this camp. So it took all of this week, including today, to get our website working well. Another problem with some of our models is it'll, instead of only taking like 1 or 2 lines from a song, it'll take whole sections, which isn't the best for creativity. And a lot of our models are very vulgar and explicit because we fed it a lot of hip hop and rap.
Here is an example output from our AI generated. And this is, we chose one that is not too vulgar for presentation purposes, but as you can see, the AI created new generated song lyrics from the things we fed it and prompt. Thanks for listening.
So now we're going to go to the website itself. If I can, hold on, exit out of this. And so does anybody have any suggestions for a prompt or anything? Here's just like our homepage. And then below we have a place to try our product. So I'm seeing Java sucks a lot. So we can try
Java
that.
sucks.
So what emotion do y'all want? We have sadness, euphoric, tenderness, tension, and cheerful. All right, so tension was the first one I see. Okay, so tension. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit to run. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about this part. So basically the prompt, it just uses in the beginning. Occasionally it'll use it throughout, but I haven't seen that more than a couple times. The randomness is basically how much, so basically if you run it a bunch of times, the less randomness you have, the more like, I guess the more similar they are to each other. Whereas if you have it cranked up to 100%, then they are usually very different. And so one of the problems we had with the website was getting it to actually like line up correctly. As you can see, it's more in like a paragraph form rather than in like a thing you would normally see as lyrics. So we were kind of working on that today, but we couldn't quite get it out. So yeah. And then here we have our product specs. And I'm going to let Drew talk about that.
This is our product specs. It basically has a product description, purpose, why we made the AI, and challenges. We already talked about this in the presentation. Here's some tech we used: Kaggle for data sets, Flask for the website, Genius to source the lyrics, GPT Neo for the models, Python to code, and then AI text gen to generate lyrics.
And then, so for our About Us page, we have a quick description of each of the team members as well as the team as a whole. We're just going to talk about something we learned. It's kind of our experiences beforehand. So I had been programming for a few years before I took this camp. And a few things I learned was definitely Python as well as HTML and some CSS during the camp.
I'm Jay. I had prior experience with R before this, but I always wanted to learn Python, and this was a really good experience, especially learning pandas and just working with the data. It was frustrating at times, but definitely worth it.
So I'm Aaron. I've had zero coding experience in the past. Maybe there's one time where I went on a code academy for literally like 10 minutes and just gave up after that. But I'm the one who built the About Us page that you're looking at right now. Somehow, I don't even know how. I'm pretty sure I just used Google the entire time. But that's pretty much all to be said about me.
Hi, I'm Drew. I have had coding experience in Java, and I learned a lot about Python and pandas. I made the product specs page and most of the presentations. Well, not most. Well, some of the presentations.
What did I learn? I learned a lot about like self-teaching because Aditya, he helped us just like let us go. Like me and Drew were the first ones to start working on the website, and we didn't even have a template, and so we just kind of went at it.
So I learned a lot about things like coding, like pandas and Python, but I also learned a lot of skills that I can use in my professional career later on.
Yeah, Alex. So guys, I want to add something here. The highest obstacle we faced there in the starting of the last week, two of our team members were not available. And let you guys know, Gavin is currently suffering from the COVID, but he come back strongly and cope up with the things and design the website. So I want to give huge shout out to the Gavin, and Noah had a family emergency, so who shout out to the whole team here. Yeah.
Awesome. Can we get a shout out for the whole team and a round of applause for that awesome presentation? I think it borders like that project borders on a lot of really interesting stuff. One, we're bordering on like AI ethics, making sure we really understand like the data going into our data set. But love having it applied on a really creative output. So great job to that team as well, and dealing with some obstacles like Adichie mentioned. Great. All right. So we've just got a few teams left. Let's keep it going. Wireless Union, you guys are up next. And then we've got Molten Cores and Stereo Zombies to go as well.
Okay. Ethan, I think you're the one sharing the slides.
Yes. Give me a second. There we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We are Wireless Union, and our project is called the Wireless Wingman. Our project is a personal coding assistant. It is very similar to the GitHub Copilot. Basically, in our project, a user will input a prompt, and the AI will output an algorithm in a desired programming language. And then here's our table of contents. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the team, how to use the AI technical stacks, the data set, the AI models, and further applications.
Okay. So I'm the first one here. I'm Robert. I did a lot of the backend development, and I worked specifically on the JavaScript Python model. No, JavaScript AI model.
My name's Ethan. I did some of the front end development, and I also trained the C model.
I'm Zachary. I worked with Ethan on the front end, and I trained the Python model.
I'm Natalie. I worked a little bit on the back end and I trained the Java model.
My name is Callie. I worked a little bit on the back end as well, and I trained the C# model.
So the last person there is Noah, who's our instructor, and he helped out a lot.
So I'm going to show the website first. So basically it's a user will input a prompt and then it will output the algorithm based on that prompt. And just a very brief explanation on how it works. Our models were fine-tuned with the GPT-2 transformers provided by Hugging Face and TensorFlow. So originally I had a video to explain the model, but I'm just going to present it live. Can you still see the website? Okay. So we have 6 different models for each language that our AI can understand. I'm going to select Python because we all are familiar with Python. And it gives you a brief explanation of what we did and some examples of what you could type in. So I'm going to type in bubble sort. And you click generate. And it will take some time for the AI to actually output the text. But anyways, basically we used Flask for the back end. And while this is happening, the prompt, the input is getting sent to the back end where it's getting loaded into the AI model. And here's some code for bubble sort. And then on the main website, we still have some specs about the project, but we're going to go over that in the slideshow. And we also have Meet the Team.
Okay, so for our technical stack, for front end, we set up a prompt for an input to our AI as well as an output for the AI to generate to. So front end would be covering like the website and what you see as like a user. And then for backend, we use Flask to manage all the backend data and managing the AI input and outputs. And lastly, for our machine learning, we use GPT models, mainly the GPT-2 doublehead for most of our models, and as well as the distilled GPT model, which is the AI text gen model. And these are a few of our code snippets from our front and back end, like generating outputs for our models and retrieving things and like among other things. So we utilized over 100 million parameters to fine-tune our pre-trained models from Hugging Face and TensorFlow Transformer.
So the data set that we used was just a huge page of algorithms that we found on GitHub, which we'll pull up in just a second. And what we needed to do to clean up the data is we just removed all the comments. We made an algorithm to remove all the comments, and then we put it all in one text file, and that's what we used to train the data. And this is the GitHub page up here. So if you can, yeah, you see it just has like all these different algorithms. And what we did is we downloaded all the files, we just put them in one .txt and then removed the comments. And each language had its own strange quirks, so we needed to go through and remove, for Python at least, I needed to go through and remove some stuff because it didn't clear out everything. But yeah, that's how we prepared the data.
So we used a lot of different AI models, mainly just for sake of variety. And so we use GPT Neo for the C++ AI because it seemed to work very well with large data sets. But with smaller data sets, like with a couple of our other languages, it just implemented straight English grammar, which has caused it to kind of break. We use the GPT-2 doublehead model, which is in the Python transformer library, to do 4 of them, the JavaScript, Java, and Python models, and mainly just because it works very well for more concise data. And we use the just distilled GPT model, just the basic GPT-2 AI text gen model for C#'s AI, just due to the fact that it was pretty easy to implement and to train. So during training, most of our trainings only took like about an hour, but on some cases we worked on Colab, and the longest training time we experienced was just shy of 10 hours, which is ridiculous. GPT-Neo uses about 125 million parameters, which is quite a substantial amount, and the total amount of storage space that the models took up after we trained them was about just a bit more than 3 gigabytes.
So our software engineering process was first we did some analysis to decide what kind of project that we wanted to do. We went through a couple of options. I think we also wanted to do a political speech generator at some point, but decided that like this was a more interesting project for us. So we did a brainstorm and we used the spec template that we were given at the beginning a couple of weeks ago to kind of figure out what our minimum viable project would look like. Then we started the design and created the models via CoCalc and Colab. And to be honest, CoCalc crashed like every single class. It was an experience. And that's why we had to just go to Colab and use, the 10-hour training, but we figured it out. Then we created a bunch of functions to implement our AI models within the website and put it into HTML and class to make the website that we have now. So further application of our project is we coded a Discord bot that just kind of took our code and made it so that it was usable within and could use this kind of $C method to access it. And
we also
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We also have a GitHub page with our models and all our code. And that's our project.
Can we get a round of applause for this team? This is awesome. Code generation is not easy at all. So like seeing you guys pull this off in 3 weeks is awesome. GitHub Copilot just started charging $10 a month for people. So I mean, they're going to make a ton off of that. So, hey, having your own version might not be so bad. And, you're talking about one thing's funny is like mentioned nine hours, a long time to train. Eleuther AI, the team behind GPT-Neo, the tool a lot of you guys use, they released something called GPT-J in September. It's like a GPT-3 alternative. It took them 5 weeks to train. So, there's definitely, once you start training for a long period of time, that's where you see that accuracy start going up. And the text generation, for example, going from good to great. But it's tough to find those servers like that. But awesome. Let's keep it going. We got 2 teams left, Stereo Zombies and Molten Cores. Who wants to go next?
The Stereo Zombies can go next.
All right, let's do it.
Awesome. Let me just pull up the presentation really quick. Can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone. I'm Andre Grossberg and I'm part of the team Stereo Zombies. And we're going to be talking about our storytelling with AI. And more specifically, our team decided to go for a project of creating a dungeon master from the game Dungeons and Dragons. And basically what that means is in the game Dungeons and Dragons, the dungeon master creates a story based off of what the characters would like to do and the different actions they would like to make. So we're creating an AI that will help become the dungeon master to make those stories. And our team consists of Chloe,
Ryle, Fabian, me, Andre, Tariq, and Milani.
Data set collection. The idea of the project was derived from the AI dungeon.io, where we submitted a prompt and the AI will generate a story for us. All of our members, we all individually look for references and just data sets, but we finalized on a data set from Kaggle, that related to fictional stories.
Yeah, so I'll just talk briefly about our model. So our goal was to create, of the NLP course, was to create a website that hosts a GPT-2 text generation model. Specifically, we use the GPT Neo 125 variant. We kind of use it because it provided good performance, so we stuck with it. We use things like the AI text gen library in our code, and we used the Kaggle dataset sci-fi stories text corpus to train our model. We use this dataset because it contained plenty of sci-fi and sci-fi fantasy-like stories while not being too large. This was good because we can ensure our model is trained enough while not taking too much time. When training, we did have a ridiculously high amount of issues with our CUDA memory. So eventually we just got fed up and we switched to Colab. And there it took about half an hour to train until we were satisfied with our model.
We questioned if we could possibly make an AI that could assist people in creating and perhaps improve upon our experiences of human storytelling. Because unlike humans, a robot will not reboot the same franchises over and over and bring people dry using nostalgia. So not only could you use this AI to help guide you through a story of a D&D session, but you could also use it as inspiration when writing for books, video games, movies, television, or to help fix the plots and storylines of whatever corporate entity's production has been ruined or is disappointing you at the moment, i.e. 50% of what Netflix makes. Here are some examples of our output while testing the AI. And here is the heading to our website where we created using Python, HTML, and CSS.
We can mimic AI Dungeon.io with asking the user which character they're interested in and asking how they want to generate the next part of story each time, including gaming. But this would take more time and resources. Given the time to complete the task, we included some part of it. We wish to see if we could expand this in the future, as we're currently aware of AI, NLP, and text generation.
All right, so I'm now going to go over to the website. And also adding on to a little bit of what we were talking about for like expanding it. We were kind of excited about trying different options, such as incorporating like a 20-sided die, which is what like is mostly used in the Dungeons and Dragons game, and have that relate to the different outputs that you can get, whether it's like more positive or negative. However, that would get more into text classification, which we did not include in this specific project. However, we would consider moving forward with in the future. All right, so I'm just going to start with the website. And I'm going to talk about the user interface. So here we can see we have our title, and we also have our navigation bar here with the different parts of our thing. So you can like click it and go to the different.
Are we sharing the right screen here? Just want to double check.
Can you see it now?
I
can
cannot.
see the PowerPoint.
Yeah, we might need someone to stop sharing real quick.
Here, I'll
And
reshare.
then- Yep.
How about now?
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. So like I was saying, up on top here is our user interface, and we can look at the navigation bar and go to the different parts of our website, as well as here we have our title and a little try here button to go directly to our model. And now I'll hand it off to Chloe, who's going to talk about our glossary.
Thank you, Andre. So I'm here to just explain these 3 key terms for people who might not know them. we have NLP, which is natural language processing. So it's the computer's ability to understand the human language, such as a Siri or an Alexa. NLP is a huge component of AI, which is really complex, but with the process of how NLP takes data collection becomes really simple. The next term that we have is AI text gen, which is AI text generation is a Python package that uses many different things such as PyTorch, Hugging Face transformers, and PyTorch lighting, which helps with just overall text generation, and also includes GPT-2, which is the next term. GPT-2 is a transformer model that can make accurate predictions for the data sets that's been given. We trained the GPT-2 model on a custom data set, and it was able to generate its own stories for this model. Other than that, GPT-2 is a self-supervised model that has been able to help many cases such as ours.
All right, and here we can test out our model, the Dungeon Master, and I'll write a example text. We're just gonna wait this for this to load. So it does have a lot of examples of kind of related words to the word arrested. So we see danger, suffering, a little bit scary, but that's how we get our text generation for the story. And I'll hand it back to Chloe now for the team.
All right, thank you, Andre. And this is our amazing team. I'm Chloe. Obviously, this is Bear. We also have our peers, Andre, Tariq, Ryle, Milani, and Fabian, as well as our amazing instructor, Shareth. This whole section includes just amazing, interesting facts about us, our experiences, and yeah, fun things such as how Tariq knows the top 10 numbers from 1 to 10.
Okay. This experience has been a short journey that, while filled with technical issues we had outside of the code that created difficulty for us to progress at times, has been very rewarding, especially with the help of our mentor, Shareth. After our first meeting on June 6th, we were introduced into the camp and what things would be like. We started out with little to no knowledge of Python at the beginning of the week, and then went to understanding the basics of the code and starting on to go over transformers and what they were during week 2, and then to having solidified our topic by week 3, during which we finished our project by including the AI inside the beautiful website we started building together. And now we have this project.
Awesome, and that's everything. And I guess unless anyone wants to, put something into our AI, that's all. If anyone has any suggestions.
Can we get a round of applause for this team and their awesome Dungeon Master, AI powered Dungeon Master. Love the creativity here. Love the excitement for the presentations. We got a prompt, maybe the Demogorgon. I don't know. Put Baron. Not sure. But we'll use this time to get our last team to prepare to present. Molten Cores, you guys are up next, and that's going to be our last team. Before we get to our last team, I am going to shout out one thing. I spent some time putting together a feedback form. These feedback forms are really, really, really important for us. We use them to improve on our curriculum every year. The result of these feedback form are what we use and give to our team ahead of when we try and improve. So if you guys can give feedback in terms of what was useful, what wasn't, what you really liked, that really helps us improve the experience for the next year. And then maybe hopefully seeing you guys come back sometime. So we'll see. But if you guys can fill that out, that'd be huge. But with that said, can we get our last group to present? Molten Cores, you guys ready?
AI for facial recognition, detecting famous celebrity faces. by Molten course. So a little bit of background of our thing. So the product that we are making will be able to detect a celebrity's face and tell the user who the celebrity is with a high rate of accuracy. For this project, we decided to do Marvel actors and has a total of 7 classes. We narrowed it down to 7 celebrities because there are a lot of celebrities, we won't be able to have enough time to test it all and gather all of the data. By choosing only 7, we're able to focus on them and have lots of pictures to make the model as accurate as possible. We decided to do this project because sometimes people will come across pictures of celebrities and cannot think of the celebrity's name on top of their head. Instead of not being able to sleep with the questions of who this celebrity is, they can use our website.
So for our project, we use SERP API to quickly get images for our dataset. SERP API is a real-time API that can access Google results. After getting the images using SERP API, we uploaded them to RoboFlow, which is a website for computer vision to help with data collection and pre-processing. Then we checked to make sure the images were good for our dataset, meaning like making sure the picture was actually a picture of the celebrity and making sure you could see the whole face in the picture. Then we labeled our images and split them into a training set where 70% of our images went into, validation set 20%, and testing set 10%. So in the end, we had 968 images and 7 batches or celebrities. Before exporting our dataset from RoboFlow, we added some augmentations such as blur, flip, rotate, shear, and saturation. At first, we also used the cutout augmentation, and this made our accuracy really low, but we took feedback and removed it because it would cover up the celebrities' faces, and it wasn't really realistic for an image to have a cutout. And this allowed our accuracy to be a bit higher. Lastly, we used YOLO v5 to train our model and used a batch of 4 and epochs of 12. After that was done, we used WAN-V to visualize our training. We used YOLO v5 to train our model because it's fast, has a high accuracy, and it's easy to use. YOLO v5 is an object detection algorithm that divides images into a grid system.
Results. We used a confusion matrix to measure the results of our AI program. A confusion matrix is a technique for summarizing the performance of a classification algorithm by counting the number of true positive and false positive recognitions. A good AI model should have a diagonal in order to have a good accuracy. However, on our first run, we weren't able to get a diagonal on our confusion matrix. On our fourth run, you're now able to see a bit of a diagonal line, meaning that the AI is starting to identify the celebrities correctly. Additionally, the line is also starting to get darker, which shows that the model is identifying the celebrities with a higher rate of confidence. Now we are able to identify for celebrities accurately.
So what we learned. We learned a lot of things during this camp, such as basics of Python, in topics such as CNN, neural networks, interpreting graphs and data, neurons, and designing a website using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and Flask. By the end of the 3 weeks, we created our own website with our celebrity detection with AI on it. We used an example of what we learned was that we used the developer's tools option on the browser to understand where the code is. Thank you for listening to our presentation. And now Sherry will talk about our website.
Okay, so this is our celebrity detector. It detects and labels celebrities' faces from the inputted image. So we can try one here. So for this one, it detected Chadwick from Black Panther. And sometimes, even if it's the same celebrity, if different pictures, sometimes it detects it differently. So for this one, it detects Tom Holland. But if we try another picture, like this one, it detects it as Robert Downey Jr., which is incorrect. And we miss sometimes because we don't have enough data or images, and we didn't train the model for a long enough duration, which would have given us a better accuracy. With also some hyperparameter tuning, we could improve our model performance. This AI only detects faces. So if we were to try a car, for example, we would not find anything. And this is our team. We have Sabrina, Calvin, me, Fiona, and our instructor, Luzar. And we all work together to make this product. We also have a GitHub here. And this is how we got our data set and how we trained and tested our model. On our third run, we didn't have a diagonal line here because we did not have enough data for Upland and Falcon. But on run 4, we fixed the line. So we were able to detect it. So this is our project. And thank you for listening.
Awesome. Can we get a round of applause for that team wrapping us up? Awesome stuff what you guys put together with the smaller team. Great to see Marvel coming in a few different projects. But that kind of brings us to the end of all of our presentations. I want to say a lot of you guys mentioned that we're training. We could improve a few things with our project. I'd love to see updates like that coming into Discord showing that you guys got some improvements done. Don't be a stranger. There's going to be some announcements in Discord around, the leaders of Camper Kudos at the end, and announcements around Team Tomorrow and any incubator and anything like that. Details around that are still to be determined, but stay involved in Discord. We'll send a message at the end of it. Just want to say again, thanks so much to all of you guys. Can we get give yourselves and one more round of applause for all of our campers. But I also want to give one more round of applause for our data science interns, for our mentors, for you guys. They were awesome this week. Can you guys join me in giving them one more round of applause? And just thank you guys so much one more time for spending all the time, putting in the effort, creating some awesome things. 100% of the groups built something and launched something amazing. And I hope you guys just internalize that you can do that. You can do that again. And the next one you make is going to be better. So I encourage you to think about what is going to be that next project and start working on it. But yeah, I'm sad this is over too, but it's over only in spirit. You guys, we're still going to be around in Discord. So thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend. It's been awesome. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks so much.
Amazing.
Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you guys again.
Bye.
Bye.